Welcome on BDcoded on Darkcity Radio. Tonight we're going to talk about psychopaths. And I think most people, if they hear the word psychopaths, they think about mass killer, about this kind of guy. I was searching for a joke about the psychopaths. I didn't find anyone. It was only about about killers. A psychopath, a person with an antisocial personality disorder, manifest in aggressive, perverted, criminal or immoral behavior without empathy or remorse. That is the Jesuitpedia description of psychopath. But we have tonight with us Thomas Sheridan. Are you there?
Hi, Jabba. Indeed, I am. I'm here.
Good. I think you're the best person to talk about this subject. You write 3 books, mainly about psychopaths, if I'm not wrong.
2 about psychopaths, puzzling people and defeated demons. The last book, The Anvil of the Psyche, well, it was kind of to do with psychopaths in terms of how the media and social control and entertainment is used to manipulate people's behavior. So a lot of those kind of techniques were psychopathic. So yes, it could be seen as a trilogy if you look at the broader picture of both the psychopath as an individual and the psychopath scaled up to the control system we live in. So yes, you could say the 3 of them are.
And you're also, I just posted out the link of your website, thomassheridanarts.com, or it's maybe a blog or website, I don't know how you call it. And I just put it in the chat room too, so the listeners can just check it out. You make also paints. Still? Do you still make paint?
Oh yes. I just don't have time anymore since I started writing books. It's taken up all my time, both the promotion and the public speaking. But I still try. I still try to tap into the source, into the muse. And one of the reasons I started writing books was because the art industry in Ireland collapsed along with the economy. So it became, I was just trying to find a way to make a living. But I also had all this information on from years of studying psychopathology. So I said, why not, So it's become my career by accident more than by, design. So yeah, I don't paint as much as I would like to, but it's always there.
And you also played in a band that called, you told me before, the Children's Zoo?
Yeah, they were quite a well-known New York underground band back in the 80s. Just had an album released again of some old stuff from that era. But I still play music. I have another band at the moment, which is sort of like a loose collection called the the Sulphur Factory. And that's just basically me and anyone I can find to play with me. I originally came from the punk rock scene, then kind of migrated into, what happened was when punk kind of ended, it went 2 factions. One went kind of new wave, mod, ska, and then the other faction went kind of goth rock, death metal, and I kind of went along that tangent. But now I'm doing kind of almost like more like chill out kind of music. That's what I'm interested in now. Soundtracks, that kind of thing.
Nice. And that is also the, I hear you was working on the Wall Streets as graphic designer, and therefore you had a lot of experience with psychopaths.
Well, that's where the story began for me. I was working, after I'd finished, playing music the first time round, I decided I needed a proper job, so I studied graphic design. And at the time, Wall Street banks were sort of becoming very media savvy. This was the early 90s. They were getting very clever about there was kind of a change. It was going from old style bankers into this new kind of, financial industry, which was very slick and very savvy. And they were employing people who knew a lot about, design and marketing and public relations and that kind of thing. So there was a big need for graphic designers to present financial data and also things like IPOs and share launches in very slick formatted documents with like, fancy graphics. So I landed in there. I worked for Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citicorp, Chase Manhattan, Kidder Peabody, which went out of business after an insider trading scam while I was there, and a few others I did freelance for. But yeah, it was while working in one of these Wall Street banks that I became very aware. I'd always been aware the world wasn't white. It didn't work financially. It didn't work politically. It just didn't work at all, the way it was supposed to work. And that became a real eye opener for me because I saw how dysfunctional business is. Big business, how dysfunctional.
Is everybody back?
I'm back.
Bob? Bob is back? That never happened.
Never happens. I'm telling you, there's somebody always trying to shut me.
Okay, can you hear me, guys? I think you're live. Right, I can't get the server. I got took out. So you should be live now. I'll get the server back up.
I think Jabba's dropped out again.
This is absolutely crazy, isn't it? Right, I'm getting the servers up, lads. It all adds to the DC putty. Come on.
Okay, I'm here.
I think we're actually live.
Okay.
I think we're live. There's not a lot I can do about it. I'm pretty sure we are. So
that is good.
Crack on.
All right, we was in Wall Street and we get all kicked out of the chat.
I know. Well, this has been happening to me so much lately. It's like nearly every show I go on, they never have any of the problems. As soon as I start talking about what psychopaths on Wall Street, it's you then. Shows go out. So the archons or something are trying to shut me down. But anyway, yes, I was I was working for some Wall Street banks, and I became aware of how dysfunctional the financial system was, but also how pathological that system was. And through a series of encounters, I met this individual who admitted to me he was actually diagnosed, he was actually officially diagnosed now, as a psychopath. And I thought a psychopath at that point was, stabby, axe murderer, killer, Jason from Friday the 13th, just, ice hockey mask. No, he wasn't. He just was extremely reckless, impulsive, but also very intense. He had an intensity about him that was very difficult to almost be around at times. And he was very glib, very superficial as well. Very charming, but not charming in a very likable, realistic way. Not to me. He always seemed like he was putting it on. But I used to see how people used to fall for it. Very good. He was a very good salesperson. And so it was from that point on, I wanted to know what this psychopath thing was, because it was one of those things that you hear it right away and you say, there's something to this. Does that mean something more than what I'm hearing right now? When something hits you, it's an insight. So it stays in your head and you remember it. And then over the years, I used to, if there was something in the Wall Street Journal about, neurology related to psychopathology or sociopaths, or in the New York Times, or even sometimes I used to get medical papers because there was access to a really good reference library through my job. So I'd get like all kinds of medical papers. Anything I wanted, I could just put an order in and get them. And anytime I saw anything was published on psychopathology, I always used to get it and read up on it. And the more I read about this, the more I would say to myself is, how come we don't know this? Because what I was seeing, developing before me as I delved into this world of psychopathology was the dysfunctionality of Western society, the history of the world, the history of exploitation, the history of war, the history of commerce, the history of politics. And so it became to me a very kind of a healing thing, because it made me understand that, the world was very dysfunctional, but it wasn't because human beings had anything wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with human beings. The problem is that between 1% and 4%, depending on where you live or what business you're in, between 1% and 4% of the population are psychopathic to some degree. And unfortunately, these are the ones who are getting into media, entertainment, big business, corporate finance, banking, politics, bureaucracies at the very top, and they're causing all the dysfunctionality on this planet.
So, something I was listening through your videos, and something I'm not sure if I really understand it correctly is, does a psychopath get a psychopath, or is a psychopath a psychopath? Through maybe his past, his education, his environment?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is the common question many people ask. Okay, there's a lot of speculation that it may be genetic. It may have a genetic predisposition through the DNA. However, that has never been...
Thomas, I think we need to cut the video.
We need to...
What's the matter, Jabba? I'll carry on, Thomas. I think we just lost Jabba.
Okay, well, I'll just answer this question for the listeners at home. Is it a genetic disposition? No, predisposition, no. It hasn't been officially fully 100% quantified that way. There's a lot of people trying to push this idea. There's a lot of people involved in trying to push this, but I'm very suspicious of it, because it seems to come from the same mindset that brought us eugenics. I've noticed that even the official documents dealing with psychopathology, they're very obsessed with the poor. Just like eugenics, it's almost like psychopathology is something that only happens among the poor, among the working classes, and it doesn't affect the upper echelons of society. And that immediately starts setting off red flags for me. And this is nothing new about this. This has been going on for over a century. Even Henry Cleckley, in his book, The Mask of Sanity, back in 1947, spoke about the proliferation of psychopathology among Italian and Irish immigrants in the Lower East Side of New York. In reality, this is a classist kind of idea, imposing the idea upon society that the poorer you are, the more likely you are to be dangerous. And I think a lot of what makes this whole thing with psychopathology so dangerous is this idea of genetic predisposition. It's definitely never going to be used to look at George Bush. It's never going to be looked at Hillary Clinton. They're going to use it to point at minorities, poor people, poor white people, poor black people, and they're the ones that are going to say, he's a psychopath, she's a psychopath. So there's no hard proof it's genetic. There just isn't. There's no hard proof it's genetic. There could be other factors involved. I don't know. If you ask me what caused it, I can honestly say I just don't know, because it just seems to arrive out of nowhere. It just seems to happen in families where you can have a perfectly normal children and suddenly one of them is born psychopathic. It just seems to happen that way. There were some very good things in the New York Times recently about a center in Florida they set up for children who were diagnosed as psychopathic children, school children. And they came from normal families, and there was none of their siblings were psychopathic. It was purely within that family. And so, again, it was almost like they just appear. And could it be caused by damage in the womb? Maybe. Could it be caused by, things like that? Something happened to a mother while she's pregnant? Maybe. We just don't know. It just seems to happen. It's got to the point now where I'm no longer interested in what causes psychopaths, pure psychopaths I'm talking about, to manifest in this world. My attitude is I'm really only interested in helping people identify this problem and get away from it. Now, regarding the environmental aspect of it, yes, there would be a condition which I've called in my first book, Puzzling People, I've called it proto-psychopath. It's someone who's not a natural-born psychopath, but they would be developing psychopathic traits and behaviors if they were raised in a very difficult situation, a highly dysfunctional family, perhaps ravaged by alcoholism and abuse, sexual abuse, or someone who was raised in a war who wouldn't normally have these behaviors. And they would probably take on these psychopathic traits. However, if you got them away from that environment and you made them better, or you introduced them to more positive and more healthy ways of living, they would actually become normal in most cases. Where a pure psychopath, the one that's born a psychopath, that one never changes. From the time they leave their mother's womb to the day they die as old people in the old people's home or in a hospital or wherever. They are pure psychopaths. They're pure predators. They see everybody and everything as a target, and they have absolutely no empathy or compassion for the people they have destroyed in their lives. And people have to realize these are very, very dangerous human beings, if they're even human beings, and they're extremely dangerous when they get into positions of power. And that's the problem we have in the world today. So that's the answer to it. Is it genetic? I don't know. What caused it? I'm not completely sure. My attitude at this point now is I'd rather just know about it and get away and leave the finding out what caused it to the experts. Great if they could I hope they do find out one day what caused it. If it's neurological, if it's environmental, or even a virus, who knows? So we can actually maybe fix these people. But it's the way things stand right now, my attitude is, here's how they are, here's how we identify them, and here's how to get the hell away from them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also observe, I was listening through all the, you make a series of the, it's like the what was it, the pathway of the psychopath or something like that?
The labyrinth of the psychopath.
Exactly. And what I also observe is like there is psychopathic behavior that don't mean that the person itself is psychopath. Like, yeah. And for me, what happened a lot with the psyche of the human is like the trauma-based childhood, from where is a lot of things are coming, and that is like a little bit the question. And a lot of I mean a lot of people, when you ask them, like the ones who are in the system and stuff, they give up certain like I would say a universal moral to a system, and they start to get like psychopathic behavior without they would not have this kind of behavior if they could choose freely.
Yep. Yeah, these would be the proto-psychopaths again. They're not pure-born psychopaths. They're people who are normal human beings who, through some kind of conditioning, and you said they would be normal. Like when I worked at Wall Street, I can tell you that the vast majority of men and women who work in those banks are fine, decent human beings. But there are quite a few psychopaths in there at the very top. And what happens is they modify the people, because everything is a hierarchical pyramidal system, right? So if it doesn't matter if it's a bank, a government, a civil service department, a religion, it'll always be affected by who is at the very top of that pyramid. And if you have a psychopathic leadership at the top of that pyramid, that pathology will cascade down the whole system. In order for each strata within the pyramid to try and survive, will have to emulate the pathology of the psychopathic nature of the business at the very top. So you're absolutely 100% right about this. This is why we cannot be going through our lives on, he's a psychopath, she's a psychopath. We can't be doing that. It's a witch hunt. Because sometimes people are caught in situations where they act ridiculous. We've all done stupid things in our lives. We've all done things in our lives that we regret. We've all hurt people. But the difference between us and a psychopath is normally we didn't mean to do it. It was immaturity. It was selfishness. It was stupidity. It was, impulsiveness. It may have been peer pressure. And then afterwards you think back and go, I really shouldn't have done that. I feel awful about it. But a pure psychopath now would never think that way. A pure psychopath goes through life seeing everybody as a target and an opportunity, and has no remorse and no compassion. And that's the main difference. So this is why you have to watch this and really study this subject for a while and let it sink into your head. Because otherwise, I can honestly tell you right now, Jabba, some people are not ready for this information. They're hysterical or whatever. And they will instantly jump into a witch hunt mentality. So we have to put the brakes on constantly. But
and I like that you mentioned that a lot in your videos. It is not about witch hunt, and something other that you said, it is they don't do that to be mean. They
It's just
Exactly.
business. Now, that doesn't mean they're not evil in their own kind of way. They are. They're evil by their effect upon us. You understand? It's a parasite host situation. So when you think if someone gets a horrible virulent disease like a cancer, well, that cancer to us is evil. You understand? It's evil because of what it's doing to us. But the cancer itself is just doing its cancer thing. The psychopath is the same thing. It's not sitting down and saying, I'm going to destroy that person because it's fun. They're sitting down and saying, well, they do get a rush, they do get a thrill when their plans come through. But they're really driven by, it's just business. I've interviewed about 3 of them now for some of my books, and they all say the same thing. They say that people take us, meaning them as the psychopaths, they take psychopaths far too seriously in their intent. And the one guy even said that to me, you have to understand, it's just business. Everything is just business. And there's no humanity, there's no compassion. What has to be done, I will do it, is what they would tell me. And so you've got to be very careful, thinking. See, what happens is we as human beings, we tend to, project our emotions on others, assuming that others have the same feelings as we do. But when you're dealing with a psychopath, it's like, that's why I tell people, don't even bother with revenge, because what will happen, first of all, you're wasting your time, okay? Because the other one, the psychopath just doesn't care. They just don't care. And secondly, you're wasting your energy, that energy you need to heal yourself and move on with your life. And secondly, very important too, is that you will become paranoid. You'll become, you'll end up in that witch hunt mentality. And you need that energy for your own creativity and your own coming back and surviving. And secondly, if you really try to get into a battle with a psychopath, and I always tell people this, if you're working with one in the office and you think you can take him down, do not even think about it, because they will go to a level that you could not even begin to imagine. There is no breaks. They will do things like put child porn on your computer if they have to. They will hurt men to kill you. Do not challenge them. Just get away.
I know this kind of I don't, for myself, I think I was quite aware of this kind of people to avoid them. But the kind of behavior you describe, you mostly talk about like full psychopaths. I think what we are even facing more is psychopathic behavior, and that comes so much throughout of different situations you have in your life. I always give the simple example to the people when they say what the system is. Something that you will never do to your best friend, you suddenly accept it because you are in a kind of system, or the things have to be done. And then suddenly all the moral stuff is gone. And in this way, I think I personally faced a couple of real psychopaths. My wife maybe even more. And this description was like so... That was so perfect. I really can tell you that for myself, it opened very much like the definition of this kind of people. And also, like you say, they don't do it to hurt you or to feel you bad. They only have the kind of agenda they have to fulfill, and that's the whole goal. That is all what they want to achieve, and they will achieve it in anyhow. And the way most of the people, they try at least to be nice with the next one. They will not understand this kind of person. They will just say like, oh, but I will try again, and no, and we'll try again, and no. And that is always like the same thing that is repeating. And it's like you say, avoid them. Don't even try to argue with them. Because in a certain way, it is just if you have a certain kind of kindness and you like people, you will never be able to do anything.
Yeah, I'll tell you, a friend of mine in England, his wife was a famous pop singer back in the 80s. She had a couple of hits, and she was literally approached by this guy who was he's still quite a famous producer, pop producer. And he went up to her and he quite candidly said, how would you like to be, he heard her singing one day in an audition or something. And he said, how would you like to be a pop star for 3 or 4 hits, a bit of fun, a bit of fame, and then it's all over. And she said, great. So she had her 3 or 4 hits. And then after that, he never calls her again. And she spends years wondering why he never did. Very upset about it. Why she had the fame and then he took it away. He did nothing that he did not lie to her. He told her the truth. But he just, look at when she found out about my work, and her husband found out and told her, she realized that he was to this producer, she was just an object. She was like a hired object, like as if he rented a car, or as if he rented a hotel room. Well, he rented a human life. And that's how a psychopath is. A pure psychopath only sees a human being the same way they would see, this mug. It's just something they use. Yeah. That's the same thing. And what happened, she was messed up by this for years. She felt very cheated, and she didn't make a lot of money. As you know yourself in the music business, that's a myth that you make money. Even the successful people, a lot of them, they don't make money. They don't make the money we think they do. So she had to go back to work in a regular job and stuff. Very, very bitter about this until she discovered my work. And then she says to me, now it all makes sense. I was just an object to him. And then she didn't hate him anymore because she understood him. And see, that's a very important lesson to learn this life. We should not be projecting our emotions onto powerful people because they don't care. They don't care about you. Especially if they're psychopathic, they do not care.
Yeah. And I get some questions from Australia, by the way. What do people need to get this psychopath removed or ensure they never get into position of power again?
Well, it's impossible under the current system we have, because the current system we have in politics, bureaucracy, and even it goes back to the education system, is based upon authority and hierarchy. As long as you have authority and hierarchy, you will always have the psychopaths at the top. This is because psychopaths are only interested in 2 things: power and control. Nothing else. That's it. That's all they're interested in. Everything they do in their life can be brought down to power and control. So, and that's their system, our Western political, commercial, entertainment system is all about power and control and hierarchy. So there's no chance of getting them out of this system. Now, you can actually identify a psychopath through through scanning, through brain scans, through fMRI scans. It's quite amazing to actually see how their brains function differently than a normal human being. Their frontal cortex and the limbic regions of their brain, the amygdala, is switched off, where the back of their brain, where the brainstem and the reptilian complex is very, very active because it's a predator in a predatory mode. So, you could probably scan, you could say, we should scan all the politicians. But you know yourself, Jabba, that would never happen. What they would be doing would they be scanning poor people. It's like the way they don't pay taxes. It's like the way they're not subject to the same laws that we're subject to, the way they have diplomatic immunity. That's what they would do. They would say, okay, we should have a system now where we can scan people in big business or politics to see if they have, through an fMRI scan, to see if they have a psychopathically active brain. And what will happen then is they will do something like, but it doesn't apply to a certain level above the pyramid because we have diplomatic privilege. So that's exactly what they'll do. The best way we can deal with the psychopaths, both in our personal lives and both in the system, is to learn about psychopaths, learn about how they function, learn about how they operate. So far, if you have a business, if you're a manager of a department and you're able to understand what a psychopath is and how they work, you don't give him a job. If he's in the department, you don't give him a promotion. The same thing, you give it to someone who actually shows, human behavior. If you have a psychopath running for office and we're all aware of it, we can look at this person, we can see their behavior. Like Hillary Clinton, who was like laughing and giddying like a little girl pissing herself when she found out that Gaddafi was murdered. Well, you know she's a psychopath right there and then. You do not vote for her, you know? And that's the best way we can learn. And also in your own life, if you identify them in your own life, you just get the hell away from them and have nothing to do with them ever again. The only solution for now, until they can find a way to fix this, that I can see, is to literally, you know, not a witch hunt, but develop awareness and knowledge and then begin quarantining them out of your life one by one. Don't vote for them. Don't support businesses. Psychopathic businesses like Monsanto, do not support them, and so on. Do not let politicians who behave psychopathic traits. There's a guy, the producer is wielding a meat cleaver at me. But, yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty funny. But anyway, yeah, there you go. That's the way to do it. And actually, the producer with the meat cleaver has actually made a very good point. He's actually made a very good point. He kept his sense of humor about it. Yeah. Some people, when you hear this knowledge, they go right into fear and paranoia and terror. The psychopaths want that because they're like a predator. They'll know that. But if you don't have a fear of them and you can see the absurdities, because they're very absurd in many ways, and you can point these absurdities out and laugh at them, you can disarm them. I used to write political satire years ago. I still mess around with it, and I still think it's a very good thing to do, is to laugh at the system and laugh at the controllers. And that, you know, the whole parable of the emperor has no clothes, the same idea should apply to the psychopaths in power. Ignore them and then laugh at their absurdities. They want us in fear and they want us in paranoia. Do not give it to them.
Exactly. Do you know the story of the ankle biters?
Of the
ankle biters?
No.
Never. I will send you the story because it's short. It's like they say it was a extraterrestrial experience they made in the North Pole, and they want to create a kind of virus that could live by them own to heal the people and to help the people out. And this experience get wrong, and they get like. You can imagine them like flying viruses that eat up the people. And anytime you are like negative and you feed them, so they get fed by all the negativity, and to chase them is like to make jokes of them and to laugh about them. And I think that is exactly what you are saying. The other thing is also what I always say. The power structure, they only have power on us if we give them power. That means anytime we fall like in a fear paradigm or in this one have power over me, it's the same for the policeman. If the policeman asks you a question, he just asks you a question. He don't give you an order. And yeah, you are always allowed to ask your question if it's an order or a question. And if it's an order, you have to make something wrong. And if you did nothing wrong, he cannot give you any order. And that is always on that fear-based thing that they get important and they get in power. And like you say, to make jokes about them and avoid them, because like I see it, is the most of them, the most of what is happening, or the people, if they are angry or mean to other people, is they are victims. They are victims maybe of themselves. They are victims of their past, of their childhood, of their situation, of many things that comes in life. And myself, I really can say that I was very lucky. I was not in that system until my age of 10, 12 year, and I came out in that system, and I didn't get it. I didn't get what is really going on. And even in Switzerland, and I discovered today what is really going on in Switzerland, that we have all this Mason power structure, and the ones who protect the Vatican, and the really huge one. And today I have no problem to see like what they are really doing and how they do the things to really have that power structure in the whole world. And therefore, I think it's very important what happened in our childhood and all the trauma based that you can even, you think if somebody like you described, psychopaths, you think, and that is also what you are saying, they always put you in a situation that they make you think that you are the problem. They will never say, like also you say, they will never say sorry. They will never admit any error, or even if they have to admit the error, they will do it that you don't see their face. Like you say, they will only write it per letter or email, because they would never show empathy. Never.
No, they don't get it. They just don't get it. It's switched off in them. And when that's also because they don't have real personalities. What they have are personas, and they invent these personas to adapt themselves to particular social situations. But there's no personality in there. A few of them have told me this, that they said they have this incredible sense of emptiness inside them. They do not feel like they're inside their own bodies. This is why they don't make good artists and good musicians and good songwriters. There's no deep-rooted personality. What you have is a facsimile of a person. A pretend persona that they invent to manipulate the social or cultural, paradigm in which they find themselves living in. But there's nothing deep in below the surface. It's very, very surface level. They're almost like a doll that's just skin deep, and there's nothing below the porcelain of the doll's head. So, it's like one of your fellow countrymen, Carl Jung, he said, if you go to hell, you will become hell. Be careful to remember where you came from. And that's a very good point, because it's what you said about dealing with them. If we start using the same tactics on them that they use on us, it will spread like a virus, and we will become proto-psychopathic, and that will achieve nothing. We're better than that. We're creative, amazing human beings. Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer in non-engagement. I'm a firm believer in just not feeding it. For my second book, Defeated Demons, I looked at the whole thing of psychopathology within mythology and folklore and stuff like that, and it's full of it. And there's such a motif within indigenous cultures that if you feed evil by behaving evil towards it, for instance, if you fight fire with fire, you will burn. Because it only spreads the fire. It does not stop the fire. It only makes things worse. So these people who say, I want a showdown with the system and all this stuff. Come on, I'm ready for them. And those guys you see making the YouTube videos and they have guns and stuff. Yeah, I'm ready. Come on. All they're doing is feeding. They're feeding the power of the system by believing that the only way they can engage with it to take it on is through active violence. In other words, sinking to the same level. You must never do this. You must do it in a very asymmetrical manner. And I'm a firm believer in negotiating your way under the system or around the system and beating it that way. As I call them, a consciousness insurgent. We have to use our consciousness to create a sense of insurgency with this psychopathic system in order to get around it. And so there's ways of doing it that we do not have to sink down to their level. They want us to engage violently. They love riots. Yeah. They love firing the tear gas at us. You see what's happening to those poor people in Turkey right now. We cannot let them. We cannot go into their mousetrap anymore.
Yeah. No, that is exactly how I see it too. What I always mention is war for peace is like fucking for virginity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
And also you cannot, that applies almost on any aggressive reaction or any psychopathic reaction, that you cannot, you will not face them. And it's the same like the police. What they can answer on protests is with anger. That's why they also create like their own policemen who go to the riots and start all that up. It's like here in Switzerland not long time ago. Exactly the same thing happened. They just put like One good question the people always can ask that the riots, the one who do the riots always have mask on it, right? So even if you watch in Syria right now, all the rebels, they always have mask on it. You know, I mean, if you're in war, it's already hot, it's already dusty and all that shit. You will not wear that mask. You know what I mean? So they just have this kind of mask because you don't know who is behind the mask, you know?
No,
if they
and
would take
the ski mask, that's another one. You see the guys in the desert wearing a ski mask. That's the worst thing to wear in the desert. A black ski mask.
Yeah. But that is only because they don't want to reveal that it's more CIA guys than Arabs involved in this kind of revolution. How they want to make it happen. Another question is what is about normal folks that allow these personality types of gravitate to positions of power?
Because we are made to worship hardness and toughness. We're made to see this as being normal. We see these as attributes. You see that movie Wall Street from the 1980s with Michael Douglas, where he played this ruthless business guy. He was celebrated as a hero. When that movie first came out, I can remember he was absolutely seen as a hero. He did whatever he did to get all the money he wanted. And it's full of this, so many of the cultural heroes that, were given right from Dracula to, the Joker and the Batman movies. They're all psychopaths. All these characters in these awful vampire TV shows like True Blood and, the other ones. They're all psychopathic behaving people. We're given this as this is what we're supposed to admire. And so when people see that behavior, instead of them saying that's disgusting, they say to themselves, "Oh, he's a go-getter. He'll get ahead. He doesn't give a shit." So that's why we've been coached through our education system to submit to authority figures, and the authority figures are, they're psychopathic behaving, and we're told that they're our heroes. They're the ones that they get ahead. They don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck. They'll do whatever they want to do ahead. You see, look, all the hip hop music, so much of the hip hop music, the lyrics says, I don't give a fuck. I'll do whatever fuck it takes. I'll kill anybody. I'll shoot anybody. I couldn't give a fuck. So much of it is that. And these guys, I'll fucking fuck all the women I want, blah, 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 blah. These are psychopathic ideas. And yet they're held up as pop stars.
Exactly. I saw that very much in the music. It is very much. Maybe it's just more obvious because they have to show themselves and even be more tough and stuff.
Yeah.
Even the reggae music in this way get hijacked. We went from reggae music to the dirty slackness. CNN involved. Stuff, Therefore, it is very much that the whole society is pushing this kind of guys so much, and even non-psychopaths, they are just, I will step back because I just let them do, and also the way it is very tricky to like you say, to step back from this kind of people, but not let them get on power neither.
No. You see, they've taken the things that are good and twisted them. For instance, like rock music and all kinds of music like that. The harder pop music is rooted in youth rebellion, in frustration at the system, wanting to escape from it, and knowing there's a better life than what's been there. I mean, I absolutely love heavy music. I love, big guitars, big drums. I don't care what the genre is. I love punk. I love metal. I love anything, but once it has a beefy sound to it, industrial. And that's an almost shamanic thing because it's purging, it's cleansing this system of toxins. You're getting out of yourself. That's why, you know yourself when you perform live, you come off feeling like a million, like you're made of gold or something. You just feel so good. And it's because you've gotten all this energy out of you. And that's why these music forms, everything from like the mod music in the 60s, right through to all these music today, have that energy, and it's a good thing. But what happened was MTV came along, and suddenly the music video came along. And then the next thing you have to know is the music video has to be a little movie, right? So therefore the song, instead of being a song that talks about experience or life, or even getting laid, like a Barry White song would be about, it's nothing like that anymore. The song has to be like a movie script, a script for a movie, which is a music video. And that was why hip-hop was perfect for that, because the music business, I talk about this a lot in my last book, Anvil of the Psyche. The music business was very aware of a musical genre that they could actually make movies from. And hip-hop was perfect for that, because it had stories. It looked like gangster movies. They're always pushing gangster movies and gangster TV shows in our faces. And so that was perfect. And that's why that became the dominant music, coupled with the sort of sexuality. The sexuality of a music video is not erotic, it's pornographic. That's why half the women on these videos look like prostitutes. They don't look beautiful and sexy. They're not Bridget Bardot. They're not elegant. They're not like that. They look like they're on the game. They look like they should be in some red light district. So
I see that also, like very much like I don't know if you saw the Super Bowl of Beyonce.
Yes, creepy.
That is very slave and very dark and very you can believe it on that devil stuff or not, but they promote it. They promote it so badly, and something like you said before, like video killed the radio star, right? That is really what happened in the music. Video makes like that you are focused on the artist instead of the art itself, and therefore you have to sail. In the 60s or so, they say that they sold the soul to the devil. In a way. Yeah, in a way, it's almost true. In a way, it is really like it is going on in a direction that you have to sail your personality. You have to sail your own persona, and in this way, even myself, I create a kind of persona for the public jobber, and that was not the one I was. I just protect myself also that I could stay who I really was, because if you reveal everything, they will just take everything and put it like in a huge bag of something and turn it. And therefore, I want to keep my distance. I didn't reveal like private stuff. I never revealed so much private stuff since I start to really talk out to really reveal who I really was and what I really was thinking. I mean, in the interviews, I never mentioned this kind of stuff about the system and stuff. I was selling my music, in a way that I was not only my own artist. I have had like 16 people in the band to defend. So I knew that if in an interview or so I'm gonna fuck up something, I knew that this was consequences for the whole band. So therefore you create like a persona and you sell this one to the public to protect yourself. In another way, to people, I see like mostly the youngest, or even like I just can't imagine how Beyonce came in that whole shit. That is just because she want to be the best. They try everything to get the best. And if you give them any tools and what you can do to manipulate anything else, they will use it for it. Only to get more known, to get more rich, to be the best, have the best, the most sales and stuff. And I struggle very much with my managers and stuff. I say, no, this we can't do, and they're always, yeah, but this will be good for the band and so on. Say, yeah, in short term, yes, but in long term, we will just be, we will just get the fool. I think we're just gonna make a musical break.
Sure, great. I can get a cup of coffee or something.
Maybe I see Bob is active behind watching any song. You have it ready?
Yep.
Good. Okay, we are soon back.
Less and less, less and less. Solidarity, boy, less and less, less and less. It's the time to take care of each other. Give the chance to each and every other. It's the time to take care of each other. Give the chance to each and every other. While we care to sharing some innocential things you never use, because you choose not to refuse without excuse, pushing the daily abuse, running up a brand new hit, repeat it, buying every latest, admit it, running up a brand new hit, repeat it, buying every latest, pushing the daily abuse. These are the rulers of creation, vibration, foundation. These are the rulers of creation, vibration, foundation. Less and less, less and less. Solidarity, oh yeah. It's the time to take care of each other. Give the chance to each and every other. It's the time to take care of each other. Give the chance to each and every other. While we care to sharing some innocential things you never use, because you choose not to refuse without excuse, pushing the daily abuse, running up the brand new hit, repeat it, buying every latest, admit it, running up that brand new hit, repeat it, buying every latest, pushing the daily abuse. These are the rulers of creation, vibration, foundation. These are the rulers of creation, good vibration, foundation. These are the rulers of creation, vibration, foundation. These are the rulers of creation, vibration, foundation. It's the time to take care of each other. Give the chance to each and every other. It's the time to take care of each other. Give the chance to each and every other. Less and less solidarity. Less and less solidarity. Boy, this is the time of. This is the time of. This is the time of solidarity.
BDcoded with It was what you say.
This is why I know you should be very careful of me my sins. My father saw the last animal study. A lot of memories are actually comprehensions on the eyes. So it's not that they're solved, it's not there. It's a lot of them also last course. But it was reason there and to from New York, not in said. And so much the and some they on this great stage of so really I think that now be also here all but we should understand that, you know, a lot of very talented people have had to, you know, in order to get that talent up to actually for the rest of us to enjoy it, there was an element that they had to sell themselves out. And we should always remember that. And we should not judge them, but we should actually judge the system that made them that way. And that's why I don't like these celebrity gossip magazines, or when a celebrity has a problem, the way it's plastered all over. That's what psychopaths think. And they're just trying to make money off these people's lives.
Apparently we've got sound distortion.
Yeah, I completely understand what you said about when you were singing that you put up a persona. Because otherwise you'd go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, you go, because the people, I mean,
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes?
We've got another issue here. Just 1 second, I'm going to shut the Skype down on the server.
Okay.
Leave it.
Psychopaths don't like when we talk about them, and maybe that's why they should make us a lot of problem tonight. Yeah, like you said, we was in the music and psychopaths, and that is what I want to say, just because we cut before we cut. The worst moment in my music career was when I want to stop it. That was worse than stopping any drug or anything. I needed almost 1 year to get rid of it. In a way that my band was a band. We was like a lot of musicians, and they pushed me to be like the front man and to make the interviews and to be in the newspaper and all that. And I refused that for a long time. And in the last 10 years or 5-7 years of the band, I play the game. But when I want to stop, I was not allowed to stop. They continue to use my name. They continue to use my promotion, and all the work I did over the 20 years, to make all that happen. And, then I really realized how powerful this kind of image it was. Like, if I was with my kids in a shopping mall, I didn't want to sign any signature or to make any pictures with anybody. That was, in a way, that was like, for me, this is too much. This is really coming way too close to my private life than what I want to allow it. And therefore, I made everything that the people respect my own life then.
Yeah, well, YouTube and Google have made more money off my music than I ever did. On their advertising. It's like you say, our creativity is stolen. We're almost like raped creatively, and then that energy that's been taken from us then becomes the quarry of the corporations, and it becomes their domain to do whatever they want with you. And even though you're spreading the stuff out there, it just goes to show you that all the roads lead back to the big corporations. And like I said, they still have your name. They're still making money off you. And but I would advise you not to go cold turkey with music. I think you should still play and write and sing. You don't have to be the same guy anymore that you once were. But when I left the music industry, I came to, well, I wouldn't say industry, playing bands. I came to regret it, and I'm back again. And this thing here has brought me so much joy and into my life again. Since I started playing. So you should I would reconsider that. You're obviously a talented man.
Well, I make music. I think. Also, what I suggest to the most of the young bands that come to me to get advices and say, if you want to make music, do the music. Don't, that is the most important thing. And finally, even if I was known in the whole country, I could play in front of 7,000-10,000 people. I made 1 or 2 times a week music. But I was full of, we was one of the most famous band here around and stuff. But I did 1 or 2 times music. This country was so small, we could, if we had a big show on a big festival, they took us exclusivity for like a half a year. And in a small country like here, you can do 5 shows a year. You know what I mean? And with the big band I had, and to go out of the country was impossible, because Switzerland is a very specific country, and as soon as you cross the border, you are Swiss. You can be musicians, you can be poor, you can be broke, you can be anything. You are still Swiss, and they don't pay anything. And I had to pay my whole company, like the musicians and so on. Today, I make music sometimes. I still have my drum, because I was a drummer before I was singing, and I just came to sing because we didn't have a singer. Therefore, I think I will continue to making music again. And but in the life, for me the worst part, and I was really in the last shows I did, I was laying on the floor, and I had like hyper breathing, hypertension and stuff. Yeah. I was impossible for me anymore to go to stage, because I made music to awaken people with the message, and all what I achieve to do is giving them a sleeping pill. Because of that whole star system thing, and they just look up you, and as soon as you're on stage and you're in the light, you're something special. And I could that was not possible for me anymore, and therefore I know that I'm gonna make music again in the future, but I think the whole system and the whole world have to change before I'm really able to go on stage again and I make music for the people, not to be in the front of a spotlight or anything like that. And that for me anyway was never the important part. I play the game and I play the persona to make it happen, and that the people think, oh, this is a famous band and stuff. But it was not. We was like struggling 20 years and we paid everything ourselves, and it was more struggle, but it's very powerful. I agree with you that music is very powerful, and I have still my studio up. I have still my instruments around, and I know that one day I will turn back to make music. But when the people are able to receive the music today, I think to make a change, they need hard words. They need very hard words. I listened to a discussion yesterday you had. I don't remember. It was with another guy. I think he was way older, and he on a radio with three guys. You make two parts of it, and you was talking about. He was really like you have to confront them.
Oh,
right?
John Lash.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, John Lash and Thomas Malone, Japan. Yeah, that was a round table of the very good interviews, actually. They're quite important ones for people to listen to. John wrote a fantastic book called Not in His Image about the Nag Hammadi text and the Nag Hammadi scriptures, and brought it into the psychopathic issue. And he and I are very close on a lot of areas. Yep. Except, John is coming from a religious. This is, I'm not judging him. This is his thing. But he's coming from that side of it, where I'm coming from more the sociological side of it, sociocultural side of it. And he wants a showdown. He wants a showdown with the elites. But it's just like voting. We've tried that. It's like revolution, right? We have to have a revolution. But what does revolution really mean? To revolve back to where you started. Right? And my attitude is we don't need a revolution. We need an evolution. Yeah. We need to move forward from the old ways.
Yeah, that is very good. So it's definitely, and like also how we said to not confront them, and to expose them, and that was something for me was very important, and that for me was revealing information from you to really, like, if you call them reptilians, Illuminatis, Masons, and so they just give me more,
They love it, yeah.
Yeah, they really, yeah.
They don't want you calling them psychopaths though, because that's, I'm telling you, I'm not being paranoid. Every radio show I go on now has server problems. And I know I'm being tailed, and I know I'm being watched, especially when I go speak in England and stuff like that. I absolutely have seen people following me around, and I'm not a paranoid guy, but I know that, something is going on here. They are watching this movement now, and they're watching the ones who don't talk about aliens, and they're watching the ones who don't talk about reptilians. I often wonder if people like David Icke brought the reptilian thing in to keep himself alive. If so, it was a very good idea. But it's I've had some problems, and we're dealing with very dark people and very dangerous people, and they will kill you. But the only thing that's kept me alive, I think, or kept me safe anyway, is because I'm a very easygoing, happy guy with a good sense of humor. I'm the kind of guy who's like, I don't take myself too seriously. I'll joke about these things and have a beer with somebody. I'm not Mr. These psychopaths are running the world. They don't come from any kind of like religious aspect. So I think that's kind of saved my ass in a lot of ways, because I got too famous too quickly doing this, and I don't think they know what to do with me now except shut down service and attack service and hack into my website. So take it as a compliment, guys. Because I tell you, I think we really have them on the run now. And I'll tell you why we have them on the run. There's two reasons for this. And I predicted it in my second book, and it's all come to pass because psychopaths are very predictable. The first thing they would do is they would try to ridicule the messenger. Oh, there's no such thing as psychopaths. There is, but it's one or two fellas with, right, they tried that first. The second thing they tried to do was then try to make out that they were being victimized. You're like being a racist to us. You know, these are mentally ill people. They're not well. They need our love and understanding. That failed. Then the next thing they tried to do was try to make the psychopath normal. And that's what is happening now. They're trying to make it sound
that is what you said.
Psychopaths. And so, but this shows how nervous they are. They do not know how to deal with people like me and others doing this work now. Because we're saying, okay, we know what you are. You're not important anymore. Goodbye. That's the last thing they want. What they want is an attack. And I'm not going to give it to them. I'm going to have a smile on my face while I'm spreading this message, and I'm going to be as friendly and happy, as open as possible. And fuck it. Whatever happens, happens. But we definitely have them on the run. I know we do.
Yeah, we do. It's very amazing when I really jump on that information. It was so revealing for me because it's also a term they can deal with it. They know what it is. It is not a conspiracy term of anything. Something.
It's using their science against them.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Can't say it's pseudoscience. Oh no, it isn't. Your science is in these two books. Your actual science is in here. Don't tell me I pulled it out of my ass. This is you. This is your stuff here. Now then, are you going to tell me that your science is wrong? The science that you've pushed into our faces for the last 200 years that you tell us is infallible? You're going to tell us when it comes to one subject that gets up your ass that it's now wrong? They really have backed themselves into a corner with this one, and it'll be interesting to see how they play it. I think they're going to try and it's going to become like a dirty family secret now. They won't want to talk about it. I think that the current tactic will fail, where they're trying to make them, we need psychopaths. They're great for society. I think when that fails, they'll try and not talk about it or discourage it, and you'll have them saying that people like me were just it was just no big deal. It wasn't really that important, because they can't really make fun of me by saying I don't know what I'm talking about, and they know I'm not afraid of them, and they know that they know it's like they can't. I don't come across as it's the Illuminati. I'm not one of these types. They love those types. They love those fuckers who who see symbols everywhere and devil horns and, some guy's picking his nose and they say, it's an Illuminati symbol. They love all that shit because that just makes us look like nuts in the front of the... And I'm not saying that stuff isn't true. I think a lot of it is. To be honest with you.
But I face that person very much if I explain stuff to people. It's just if you don't get the bigger picture, all these kind of terms is very a fantasist or something that never because they never hear it. And the most they say they would talk on the government would never do something like that to us. And the second one would be, we would see it on the TV.
Exactly. That's a great one. And how come it's not on the front of the Irish Times or the whatever your newspaper is in Switzerland? How come I haven't seen it? That's the whole thing. People, again, because of the education system, think that their leaders love them. That they care about them. And they don't, I've got a film coming out called The End of an Era, which is about what the IMF and the psychopaths in the banking system and the political criminal cartels did to this country. And I'm going to show how, psychopathology was a very important aspect in it happening. And, it was all built on the belief, and this is again, us as decent people, not me. I knew they were fuckers, but I'm talking about the average Irish person. Projecting our decency upon a psychopath, it just won't happen. It's like feeding tofu to a shark and expecting it to become a vegetarian. It's the same kind of thing, right? So what happened was the Irish people trusted the experts The Irish people trusted the media, trusted the politicians, and the next thing they know was they were told to bend over while they put the rubber glove on and stick their hands in. And that's exactly what's been done to this nation. And psychopathology has been key to this, because I can see in the leading bankers here, the top politicians, they're rotten to the core, so many of them. They're crooks and criminals, but they're cold. They've destroyed people's lives, and they're still out playing golf and things like that. They don't give a shit. And this is, I see this now, when people say, oh, well, they fucked our country over. We're finished and that's the end of it. Well, I see this as a gold mine, because now we have an actual thing called the psychopath. We can point to it, show how they operated and how they fucked our country up. And then we can actually use this as a toolkit to actually educate other people in other societies to show when this bullshit is going down and why we don't have to tolerate it. People have to stop trusting their governments. It's like Gore Vidal said, a patriot is someone who's very rude to his government, and we all have to become proper patriots.
Of our own sovereignty. That is
exactly.
definitely true.
Walk away from the system. No contact with the system. Fuck it. You know, it's finished. You cannot reform something that cannot be reformed.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe somebody want to call in to the show. That is from UK 0161 298 0298. Or from outside UK is +44 161 298 0298, or Bob's Backyard on Skype. I'm not sure if I'm
sorry about the bad language. I don't know if this network allows it or not.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Just tell them, fucker, what they are doing all the time.
No, I actually have an FCC caution in the United States for saying fuck on. I said shit on the air, and I got a warning. So the United States government gave a warning for saying shit on a live radio station. The land of the free.
The land of the free, and I mean what they are talking about every day, and what they are showing, like almost naked stuff and thing. Amazing. Sorry?
And murders. It's okay to show murders on TV. It's okay to show, but you can't say fuck, shit, piss, whatever, you know? Yeah. But you can show anything else is okay. That's how a psychopath thinks as well. That's called crazy making, where it imposes stupid rules upon you that are against your humanity. You know, these are great words, course words. They actually are fantastic. They're a great way of communicating a point, but they know to say that's why they ban rude language on the TV and stuff like that. What they call rude language, I think I call it the language of liberation, because they know that this stuff is true expression, it's true syntax, it's pure, it's coming right from source, and they know that when you say, you know, you punctuate with fuck, shit, and so on, they know that you're actually making a statement that you're passionate about. So by banning these kinds of words, what they're really doing is sort of like imprisoning you within their kind of pathological syntax.
Yeah.
Liberation is a 4-letter word. That's what I always say.
Yeah, and therefore Hollywood is also a very good vehicle for all this psychopathic behavior. What is about violence, promoting violence, and psychopath? What kind of relation could that have?
Adrenaline. Okay, psychopaths have a thing called duper's delight. They're addicted to adrenaline. When a psychopath gets their way, it's a good thing we're being videoed here because I can show it to you. When a psychopath pulls a fast one on someone and gets their way, you get the smirk. That thing.
Yeah. It's
often very rapid. You know, when you go to some manager you had and you say, I think you owe me, you know, 10,000 Swiss francs for a gig I did. And he goes, no, I didn't. The smirk. It's a rapid. What that's caused by is a flood of adrenaline in the frontal lobes of the brain. It's fired right there. And these neurotransmitters fire this, and it's a reaction called duper's delight. Now, it's very common in a lot of people. Normally, a bit of fun, you do it. You see footballers doing it all the time when they get away with a foul. It doesn't mean they're psychopaths. But psychopaths are addicted to this rush of dopamine. They're addicted to a rush of, adrenaline, sorry. They're addicted to a rush of adrenaline. And this adrenaline, they're adrenaline junkies. And again, this is why they like violent movies that have car chases, explosions. This is why they like movies with, high intensity sex rituals and stuff like that, because they rush of adrenaline they get from that. That's why they like to race cars. They're very reckless, a lot of them. And that's because they're constantly seeking that adrenaline rush. And because they're psychopaths running the system in Hollywood, they assume, quite wrongly, that the rest of us are only interested in these stupid action films with lots of explosions and CGI. They don't, and people say, how come they don't make films with good stories anymore? Especially Hollywood. Hollywood used to be, in the 1970s, used to make fantastic films with people like Martin Scorsese and, Brian De Palma, and directors like that made tremendous movies back then. And they could have action in them, but they were really well-told stories. Movies in Hollywood today are appalling. They're unwatchable. You actually cannot watch them. That's because the psychopaths have completely taken over Hollywood, and they've got this thing CGI, and they can have all the explosions in it that they want. And also, after 911, which looked like a live snuff movie on TV, with explosions, that was always the thing with 911 when it happened, is it looked like an action movie, the way the explosions happened and everything. It looked just like a Hollywood film. And I think it's something that's happened to that culture in Hollywood where they think that's normal now. That's how the world really is. If you were to speak to most people today, if you gave them a movie with a good story, they'd prefer that. You see, psychopaths are trapped in a state of adolescence also. When we were 30 and 40, we loved action movies. We loved that kind of stuff. And then when you get older, you grow out of it, you want better stories. Well, the psychopaths never get past the adolescent stage in their emotional sense. It's not even emotional. It's sort of like their cognitive sense. And that's why their movies today are such crap. They're such badly told stories. And they could make like, you just think of all the technology you have today with CGI. They could make fantastic movies if they wanted today. Because really stunning films that they could have, the imagination being shown in CGI and stuff like that. But all they can think of in Hollywood is big explosions and car chases and killing. Adrenaline. They want adrenaline.
Yeah, a lot of killing and promoting like the whole violence is. I didn't have TV my whole childhood. I thought I was punished, and today I just can say thank you. So a lot of stuff I don't even know on the TV. Even today, we don't have TV. We have internet, and my kids watching movie. But I show them a lot of stuff of the like also the symbol styles and thing, and they see it themselves now. They come to me and say, "Oh, you see this one?" I was like, "What?" Oh fuck! They really check it out now, and I think the most important is that the people are aware of it, because it's always like, it's also like we just discovered a guy from Switzerland who he make movies out of all the aristocracy in Switzerland, all the the rich people and all the symbols they have in front of their houses, and suddenly you see them all over the place. It is like if you know, as soon as you know it, you pay attention on it. Even like the fountain in front of my house, if you don't know it, you don't realize it, and that is like is exactly what happened also with the psychopaths. They get kind of killer image, but they're not. It's not like we have way more. Like you say, there's a lot of psychopath killers out there. Like you say, you named the number of United States. How many serial killers was out there? I think was no.
No, I haven't a clue, but I'm sure it's a lot though. But all killers, psychopaths who've gone to the next level, including George Bush and Tony Blair. They're serial killers too. They just use military to do it.
Yeah, but that is also like the kings. I mean, they're bloody killers, but they mostly never killed themselves, anybody, and that is the already the old behavior of psychopaths. You can debunk us as a psychopath. Mainly, I think that is really the ones who are searching and hunger about wealth and power and all that. These are early psychopaths. Do you think through the evolution we have more psychopaths because of the society that getting more modern or something?
Yeah, I think that's true. I did a series of talks in Norway, and I was talking about the history of evil, and you can find no evidence of psychopathology in Paleolithic or Neolithic societies. You can find weapons and tools, but they're for hunting animals. They're not for war. It wasn't until the development of agriculture that the psychopathic system kind of started to take off, because then you had land ownership. You also, if you were a king, you had to make sure that your seed continued, that was your child. So you had laws of, hereditary laws, and sort of like royalty came out of that. Control of food, management of the seasons. And so it really began about, I think it was about, I forget when it was, but I think it was like 3600 BC, was the creation of Zoroastrianism, which was the first sort of monotheistic religion. Before that, all religions were polytheistic, meaning there was gods for trees, gods for rivers, gods for everything. And suddenly there was one God. And when you have one God, you can have one king, one power, one law. And then all you have to do is change the demarcation lines between this is good and this is evil. This is God and this is the devil. And the psychopath flourishes between these two parameters. That's what happens then. And that's what gave the power to the system. And I wouldn't say the system has created more psychopaths, but it's definitely rewarded psychopaths. In indigenous cultures, they killed psychopaths. They're aware of them. They know they exist. But they kill them as soon as they realize how they are, because the integrity and survival of the tribe, especially in a hunter-gatherer society, requires everyone pulling their weight equally. If anyone is looking after number one in a society like that, it can destroy the whole tribe, especially if they live so close to the edge of nature. So they tend to kill them or evict them from the indigenous culture. This is why, through the Babylonian Roman system, right to today, there is a pathological hatred of indigenous people. They hate indigenous people. As soon as they had good ships and good navigation, the first thing they did was go to Mexico and kill brown people, go to Africa and kill black people. But they started long before that. Like Suetonius Paulinus in AD 61 crossed the Menai Straits in Wales to massacre the last of the Druids in Anglesey. They have a hatred. The psychopaths have a hatred of indigenous or free people. This is why I was talking today about gypsies. We are encouraged to hate gypsies. Why? Yeah. Because gypsies are outside the state. They're outside the control of the state. It's just like George Orwell in 1984, when it suddenly dawns on him that the proles, instead of being subhuman, are actually the real humans, and he, as a member of the inner party serving the system, is subhuman. And that's we are subhuman because we are under the control of the state, and we are not sovereign human beings. And this is why they have made us and encouraged us to hate gypsies and other cultures like that who are stateless.
Mm-hmm. No, of course, that is a lot. It's almost like how to say it. You can say this is a natural human behavior, if you want. But as soon as the possibilities are there, they will jump on it.
Yeah, exactly, and they will not show any kind of restraint. There are consequences for their fellow human being. Well, if you can call a psychopath a human being, but they will not be interested in the consequences and how they relate to others in their society. They're incredibly they are totally self-absorbed and self-driven. Someone asked me about what would be the world like in the idea of a mind of a psychopath, and I said to be the last person alive on this earth standing on a mountain of 7 billion bodies going, yes. That's what drives every psychopath, to be the king of the universe. That's how they see themselves. And they get there, it's just business. No empathy, no compassion.
That is also a little bit like how the few control the many. That is exactly. Because the many are like too kind to take this kind of role, and like the ones who are like neutral, they say but it's good because somebody organize it, and therefore they get very much power, and that is definitely you can see that in between friends, in families, or even in bands. I mean, I had a couple of musicians who just destroy like the what was really going on, and that was not easy really to keep on like that, to keep the unity on, and that's why it's very easy for like one person to control many person, because they are too kind to say like, oh no, they don't want to get in confrontation. The nice people don't want to get in confrontation with this kind of thing. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're too nice, and the psychopaths know that, and that allows them to take power. Simple as that.
Yeah. I don't know if Bob wants to show us something with his webcam, but I think he tried just out. Well, I don't know if somebody want to ask a question in the chat room. I don't think so. Everybody is listening. That is very good. So about the movie, can you talk more about the movie? Are you doing what you are doing in the movie? Are you somebody's producing this? How did you get approached to making a movie in this sense?
Well, I was on this guy called Mark Higginbotham, who's an Irish guy here as well. He's a poet. He wrote a book called Poems for Gnomes, and I really liked the poems because he was waking people up through poetry, and I liked the way he approached it. He was very clever, and he was bang on about what he was trying to do. And we started writing to each other on YouTube, actually. And then I heard him on a radio station, and I thought he was quite an interesting guy. And then he contacted me, and then one day he said, you should really be in a movie about what's been done to this country, because you're the one who could probably, a documentary, you're the one who could probably explain it better than anyone, because you're aware of what really caused it. And it was really, the psychopathic system caused it. And so we came up with this idea to make a film, and he's been producing it, and he's creating it. I'm playing it. I'm going to be in it, giving my talking head thing, and I'm also writing the soundtrack for it too. So it's been I will not involve myself with anything unless it's artistic. That's my bottom line now. I will not do anything I'm involved in now. I will not be involved unless there's a creative aspect to it, and it is part of art. I know that sounds kind of pompous, but I really do believe that art is our salvation. Creativity is our salvation, because the artist knows the way. It's just like, Terence McKenna said, if the artist can't find the way, then the way cannot be found. And I'm a firm believer in that myself. So this is why it's up to musicians, poets, filmmakers, artists, writers, painters, poets, to be the forefront of this revolution, this evolution, because this is a battlefield that we can actually fight on, that they can't beat us, because we create something that's artistic but has a message. It goes right to the subconscious core of the listener in a way propaganda can't, in a way television can't. And we have a duty as artists to fight this revolution through our creative process, because we're ultimately creating the universe going forward. And this was the only reason I got involved in this. I said, I'll only do it if it's artistic, if it has an artistic. I will not make a BBC-style documentary. And so that was how it came about. And he was exactly on the same level as I was. You know, so we decided to make an arty kind of film, almost surrealist in a way. Quite, almost kind of, the bits I've seen so far of what he's done are almost kind of surrealist. And it's clever and it works because we're operating on a syntax that's below and underneath the BBC and all these fucking corporate media shit, in a way that can target the subconscious of people. Because I've decided that the best way we can beat them is through creativity and also to use their weapons against us. So that's why we need to create our own media. We need to create our own newspapers, our own radio stations, our own television stations, so we can subvent what they are, you know, be real insurgents below the radar. And so that's what this film, The End of an Era, is about. But it's, even though it's set in an Irish context, it's for all countries, it's for all people, because ultimately the story will be declaring sovereignty from the state, declaring sovereignty from the system. And it doesn't matter what country you come from, you can do this. You are more than your passport number, your birth certificate, and your voting ballot card. You are so much more than any of those things, your social security number. That's not you. That's not who you are. And that's the psychopaths make you believe that that's what you are. They will make you believe that you are a trapping of the state in terms of the symbols of the state. The time has come to say no, and we're back to the indigenous people and the gypsies again. I want to see the return of the native. I see myself now as a native. I see people like you guys as a natives. We are the digital natives. We are the digital aboriginals. We are the ones who are coming right back to source. We're using their technology, their science, their methodologies, their propaganda to undermine them. And it's working beautifully. It's absolutely spectacular. We are achieving more in this movement than all the violent revolutions that the movement of the past have produced. And this is why we're going to win. We're going to win because we're not going to fight on their terms and on their psychopathic battlefield, but on the field of human consciousness, which is where they can never go because they're empty inside.
That is very true. Well said. One thing I also always say, because a lot of people, if you talk about the country or so, and they say, yeah, but you can still go in another country, And I say, you can go anywhere in this world where you want. Authority or the pollution will find you sooner or later, and I think more sooner than later. And therefore, I think we have to take responsibility. And like you say, this evolution. The important part is that we get independent of ourselves, and that is also what I see. What is way different, that it is a personal journey, and that this personal journey they cannot control it. That is like because we are not a movement and we are moving together in the same place, we are individuals and getting more and more strong. And that is what they can't control. If we go together and protest on the same place, they just can surround us with the police and hit us down. But if we are everywhere, and this is what is way different, and maybe also because of internet or any kind of reason, it gets more individual, and that is what they can't control in the end. That is, first they tell us, yeah, we don't care about because he is somewhere in the hill up there and he do his things, but that is exactly what is happening, and we are waking up people and making them strong. Because I just think a good leader is only a good leader if he is able to empower the other people.
Yeah, and you brought up a beautiful point. Then this is why these pricks are trying to get us into the Occupy movement, the Thrive movement, the Zeitgeist movement. It's pissing them off that we're a loose collection. It's pissing them off that we've no formal structure. It's pissing them off that we've no constitution. We have no
organization.
I mean, it's nothing. It's like, I'm here in Ireland, you're in Switzerland, Bob is on Mars, and it doesn't really matter. whatever, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, and then we go home. You go to. I'm not demanding the minutes of our meeting. I'm not saying to Bob, you violated the terms of the Constitution. I'm not saying to you, you did the opposite of what the Charter says. It is driving these fuckers crazy that we do not have a formal structure. And even with the speakers in this movement, like myself and others, we often do events together. We'll have a few beers and then we go home. And often there'll be 4 or 5 of us on a stage, and 4 or 5 of us will all have different opinions, but roughly the same idea that we're dealing with a pathological system. And there's no egos. No one fights anybody. It's just, here's the information. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, that's okay too. And then we walk off the stage. I go back to Ireland, others go back to England and America, France, Germany, whatever. And it's absolutely wonderful. This is why they're trying to create things like cults that, you know, that can recruit people into a cultic structure where they have them waiting for the flying saucers. You know, they do not want individuality, and this is what makes this movement so unbelievably powerful. There is no formal structure. And, you know, I have to laugh their attempts to create it with Occupy, Zeitgeist. These things are all bollocks. This is all stuff that they've come up with themselves to try and trap us into it. Don't even bother with them. They're trying to trap you back into the old mainframe. Do your own thing. Look, only your experience or my experience of our consciousness is unique to ourselves. What goes up in my head here is all I know, and the same with yours. Yet why do you need to sign up for a system? You don't need a system. You don't need a method. What you do need is cooperation. And that's happening beautifully. People are forming alternative communities. They're starting organic farms together. They're starting little kind of like truth groups and clubs around the world. And again, there's no charter and there's no formal, you know, rules to actually go by. It's just everyone having a sit down, a dialogue, engagement, and then they go home and they say, well, maybe that's not for me, or, oh, I really like what I heard tonight, it's a good idea. But they're not signed up to any plan. And this makes this movement so unbelievably powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, and also the thing is to not giving focus again. I say always the messenger itself is not important. It's only the message you get out for yourself and what helps yourself right now. Because you can hear the same thing tomorrow and suddenly make like, what? This is exactly what I was thinking about. But you hear already the same message yesterday. So therefore, it don't depends like who is saying what in a sense, and putting again like importance, like the people on Facebook when I post out something, they say, yeah, but this guy is coming from there. I don't care shit. What he was saying right now in this moment was the right message I needed to hear for myself, for my own evolution, and this makes like that. Nobody's more important for yourself than yourself. We can come back to this.
Well, you know, you give people a bunch of grapes each, right? Some will make wine, some will eat the grapes raw, some will make, you know, a fruit drink, some will make a dessert, and so on. So that's their own choice, but it's still the integrity of that bunch of grapes is what you hand them. Well, it's the same thing with this movement. We give everybody not the grapes of wrath, but the grapes of truth. And then they take those grapes home, that bunch of grapes of truth or knowledge, and they take it home and they do it with what they want. And that's the beauty of this system, is that you take your own meanings from it. You extract or extrapolate your own truths. That's why I don't even like this term, the truth movement. I'll tell you why. Because that suggests absolutes. There are no absolutes. Your truth would be very different than my truth. Mm-hmm. So there's only knowledge. And then, you know, you from that, you extrapolate what works for you. And that's what psychopaths hate, because they do not like individuality. They do not like non-conformity. They do not like people following the plan. And I could only imagine that when they like watch radio shows like this, or they watch all the stuff going on. Like, it must keep them awake at night like you couldn't believe, because they cannot figure out how to co-opt this system. Because all their attempts from Zeitgeist to Occupy have failed. Anonymous is another one. I'm sorry, it just is. Especially, you know, people who have truth don't hide behind masks. You know,
exactly.
So there's a lot of that kind of thing going on. So I'm glad everything they try is failing, and it must be driving them mad. And you know what? I absolutely fucking love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I want to keep them awake at night.
Bobby, you want to say something?
Yeah, although we weren't affiliated directly with Occupy, we had an occupation of land, Thomas, in Ashton-under-Lyne, just on the east of the city of Manchester, junction 23 of the M60. You can see it. 2 years ago, and we still got it. So we actually occupied the land without any conflict, without any problems at all, and we took the land, man. It's just a lot of people think Occupied failed, and I kind of keep trying to let them know.
But
attacking the head of it, attacking the head of the government. That's what, to my mind, that's what Occupied did.
Yeah,
well, we had the opportunity to go on peacefully.
Yeah, but what you're describing, Bob, is not what the Occupy movement was about. The Occupy movement was actually, had a very formal political structure. It had its own charter and mandates. What you guys have done is very similar to what travellers or gypsies do. You moved into a halting site and you took it over, and good luck to you. But it wasn't, even though you used the word Occupy, once you're not officially associated with the structure. For instance, on Occupy Dublin, I went down there, and all I saw at Occupy Dublin was, in the city centre, was the usual Socialist Workers' Party scumbags who are affiliated with the government, who are affiliated with infiltrating the activist movement, and the thing literally stank of them. And when you looked at what their mandates were, they were all globalist mandates. You know, introduce carbon taxes and all this crap. And they were official. They were an official Occupy structure. So, you know, even though what you said, Occupy has failed because they wanted to impose drafts and mandates and charters. And you guys in Ashton-under-Lyne haven't done that. You've just occupied the site. So you're really closer to what travellers and gypsies do. You've kind of captured a piece of land and brought it back to the sovereign human. No. And that's a fantastic thing. But, you know, I think Occupy has been a catastrophic failure because it didn't get what it wanted. What they wanted from you guys in Ashton-under-Lyne is to have a charter or a mandate that actually applied to what the Occupy structure in Washington, D.C., or whatever CIA group set it up, wherever it was. And that failed completely, and I'm delighted about that. So, you know, I'm all in favour of people occupying land and, you know, setting up. That's why I said get back to the native, get back to the indigenous people, get back what they do. This is why they encourage us to hate gypsies, because gypsies are outside the state. We should all become gypsies in a way and all be outside the state. We're digital gypsies, we're virtual gypsies at the moment. Well, you know, I think what you did, Bob, is great, but I wasn't a big fan of Occupy from the beginning because I saw in the New York place, it was full of actors. It was full of, there just happened to be very flashy cameras. The signs was what got me. It was very slick and it happened. And then when scumbags like Michael Moore showed up, then I knew, it's an inside job.
Ours wasn't an inside job. We occupied it. I mean, I know you can say it's official or it's unofficial, but whether we did it officially or unofficially, whether we were under the official banner of Occupy, and I know loads of other people who occupied buildings and they did other things outside, in the UK, outside the central London. So although I don't kind of disagree with the inside job of occupied London, and the major states, but what that actually triggered was loads of people who went out and did it anyway. Now, of course, we didn't get the support. That taught me when we do these things, people don't want them anyway. Hopefully, we'll turn that round this year.
I think it is
do that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I completely understand what brought. I mean, I had a row with a guy in Manchester about this. It got really bad. But it was like I was saying to him, look, I'm not against what brought you to this point. Good for you. It's fantastic. But do not get caught up in some kind of trap. This is what they were and you said right, it was Occupy Dublin, Occupy London, Occupy New York, all the major population centres, the Occupy camps there were very slick, very well organised, and obviously getting big money from somewhere. So I'm delighted to hear that. You didn't do you actually formed your own thing. So in that, I guess you're right. In that sense, I agree with you. It was a success.
Hey, hang on a minute. We didn't get any money. Can we get some of the cash now? Do we get a prize for being successful?
You're on your own.
Okay, I think we are coming end of the show. We can continue. Bob giving the sign. We can continue. But we're gonna play a little song.
Guys, I think I'm going to quit it because I've got a bit of problem. My neck is really sore now standing up, so I think I've done about all I can do. Is that okay?
That is very perfect, and I thank you so much for coming on. Come anytime back if you feel so for when the movie is out. Let us know, and I will post some of your links and the books out in the chat room. And we'll let you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
Thanks, PK.
It was very good.
It was a great show. Best of luck in all this, and may there be many more for you in the future. And anytime you want me back, just ask. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We just play a little song and we are back.
Those with the mouth full of broad chat, to those who sing me song flat, to those who think me bad as a black cat, those who claim so loud they're a big shot, who strike to post drink until midnight, comes to the show spitting starting up a fight, to those who don't ever wanna go out, stuck to the couch and scared in their own house, to all the ones spitting all the hate, giving thanks for giving me straight, cause every word that you're saying about me is a stone in my castle, is a step on me enemy, give me energy. Be my melodies, on stage I told my stability. One depend on how much you talk, that's why you stuck the couch, I'm on the walk. So I take the negative, turn it to positive. Learn my lessons, don't be too sensitive. There are many ways to deal with them fool, this is my way, follow me if you choose to. To all the ones spitting all the hate, giving thanks for giving me straight. Cause every word that you're saying about me is a stone in my castle, is a step on me enemy. Who aim is to be a top chat, to those who chain me with a contract, to those who trick me with some magic, glorious corporate crooks follow me soundtrack, to those who believe life is a combat, music business is under attack, to those who lost faith in the real art, build artificial stars was to look up, to all the ones spitting all the hate, give me thanks for giving me straight, cause every word that you're saying about me is a stone in my castle, is a step on me enemy.
We are still on Darkcity Radio. I don't know why I'm still live on, but no problem. We just can continue if somebody have any question or anything to say. What I tried to say in the end of the previous show was between a movement and action, there is a huge difference. I think to follow a movement is not the same than taking action itself. Like Bob was saying, taking land over and making your own thing is not part of Occupy movement. If you occupy your chair, you're not part of a movement. If you have a little group together, you don't have to be part of a movement to make any action. What do you think, Bob, about that? Yes.
I Karma Dharma. Karma and Dharma, man. I got this a while ago, yeah. Karma is action, yeah. And Dharma is when your actions turn to shit, like, you know, when it all falls apart and it all goes wrong. But you can't ever have Dharma without karma. You've got to have karma. We've all got karma all the time. And a lot of people think this karma is like something that comes and gets you later. That's Dharma. You know, without karma, you can't exist. You just don't exist. So but you want to be free of all that anxieties of things that are coming in, man. So yeah, I'm a great believer in actions, me. I don't think words are great. Oh, they're great, you know, for you know, organising and stuff and getting together and communicating and finding out what you're going to do. But, you know, creating your plan, great stuff. But, you know, without the action, it just remains a plan. You know, it's only ever a drawing on the artist or on the architect's board. You know, if you're gonna build something, you need to take the drawings and we need to put it into practice and give it a go. That's why I'm really big on alternative ideas and divergent ideas. I don't know if those ideas will work, but I think we should at least give them a chance. You know, what we are doing doesn't work. It does on some levels, you know. You can see it, some stuff it's really cool. You know, like bridges work, don't they? You know, if you want to get from one side to another. And that works all right. But, you know, taxification of the roads doesn't necessarily work. If it was a taxation for the roads, then the people in the UK would have the best infrastructure and transport in the world for what we pay. But it doesn't, you see. So some things, I reckon, do work here in the system we've got. And some things don't. And once you get rid of the things that don't, it'll give us much more stuff to do the things that do work, and I think it'll be quite quick. But yeah, I'll go for action, me, Jabba. I'll go for action.
Yeah. I think the individual action is very important, and like we just say with Thomas before, as long as we are waiting for somebody else to make a move, make something to happen, that we are taking action ourselves, they will get on us. It's like almost that we have to be how Sen Ross was saying. We have to be a little four people.
Yeah, we have to do it in groups of four.
Groups of four.
We have to do it in groups.
In groups of four. That is like the kind of organization or movement they cannot take down.
The bigger you get, the more they want to bring it down.
Exactly. As soon as you get too big in a kind of organization, on one side you have a lot of. I talk about the movement or organization. You have a lot of different opinions how you want to go, and often there is some people who agree with stuff that others are doing, but after a certain number of people, you cannot agree 100% with everything what the movement is doing, and therefore you have to give up some ideas how you like to make the things are going, and that is not. It's not to say that we have to stay egocentric or that we are like watching only for ourselves. That is more to be like more free in movement, in action, and making the things happen. That don't means that for certain things you can gather a lot of people to make things happen who have the same idea or the same wish to make a certain change.
It makes things easier as well by being smaller. It makes things easier by actually working in smaller groups. You can actually adapt to each other's situations and requirements. But the bigger you get, the more difficult it becomes. So in that way, it's a benefit, is to work together in smaller groups. That's when you can take down the system within. It's much, much easier.
I don't really have an ambition to take down the system from within.
It's not take down the system is to change it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I kind of get
change
that.
It. It's just a figure of speech.
Yeah, get rid of some part of it. I think though, when we're dealing with this, it's all that psychopath talk.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, they make the most incredible and ambitious plans.
Also, Bob, you know,
it's just, this is a bit of text I've been sent, and I started reading it, and I'm like, oh dear. It says, they will make the most incredible and ambitious plans. Well, I tend to do that, I must admit. And my guidance is think bigger. I've been thinking too small for a long time.
The
other bit is, they include you as their right-hand man or woman. And then, on a whim, discard those plans and move on to some other crusade that excludes you. Targets often after their own life plans to help the psychopath reach their imaginary goals, resulting in apparently emotional, psychological and financial chaos for the victims. Then the psychopath moves on. What is a psychopath? Remind you of everyone? And it does, actually. It does. We've come across a few of these psychopaths recently. That describes it. Like I say, I got to the bit, like I say, I read the first bit, and that did describe me. I do have kind of quite incredible, ambitious plans. I never have had. But when I get to the other bits, no, I don't fit the actual bill. But, you know, yes, I think we've been working with psychopaths. No wonder I've been getting anxious. So, yeah.
Prajna, you want to say something?
Java, yeah, hi. Just what you were talking about earlier. When I was in Trident Plowshares, we used to have affinity groups. So there was the big organization called Trident Plowshares, which were anti-nuclear protesters, and they would get together and have camps and all that kind of thing. So those kind of things were done on a large group community basis. But any particular actions you were taking out, if you were invading the base, if you were doing something like that, then we had affinity groups, and these affinity groups were people who got on well together and had the same sort of aims, and they would go off and they would do an individual action together, not tell anybody else about it, and they would go off and they would deal with that. But then, if they got arrested, as they often did, then it's not just the affinity group, but the whole, crowd of people who were all in Cloud Tri-Shares who would all come in and support wherever it was asked for. So that's a great way if you're doing any actions, do them just in a small group, and then call for help from the community for anything that you need from the community.
Yeah, I think it's huge organization is more in long term is a problem, because you think you are part of the movement and you have to agree 100% what the movement is doing. Therefore, like if you have a little community and a little movement, you can exchange stuff that, like, maybe you or the little group is joining another group for doing certain actions. But as soon as you are like in a kind of organization, you have a lot of followers, or you have to follow, because if suddenly the people look at you and say, yeah, you're not a part of the movement anymore because you don't participate 100% of what the movement is doing.
Yeah.
And therefore,
and
I
of
think.
course, yeah, and of course, now that I know about things like the Tavistock group and so on, and Delphi technique and stuff, I see that the big groups get infiltrated. You know, whenever there's any meeting, they always use Delphi technique and so on to steer the meeting in the direction that they want to go in. So all of the larger group has all been infiltrated and is controlled and so on. But the individual small affinity groups just go off and do their things under the umbrella, without having to report back, you know, or tell anyone else what it is that they're doing. So even though the larger group is infiltrated and controlled and so on,
then the psychopaths can come in.
Well, they do anyway.
They do anyway.
But the good thing with, again, with affinity groups is it's only a small group. It's people that you know well. It's people that you work with, and you do lots of actions together, and that works well, and that's, you know, isn't corrupted by all the rest of the system.
Also, Praj, now we have very basic needs, all of us. You know, there's so much being pushed upon the average Joe today that you need this, you need that, you need that. But it's like you say, you need to get your mind back into place and actually start following your own intuition. Because everyone is
well, that's not your mind. That's not your mind, is it? This is where people have, you know, people don't know where the heart is, because they're always in their mind. They're trying to solve it with their mind.
The heart, the signal comes from the heart.
I think I lost my mind some years ago, actually. Now you come to speak of it. Yes. I'm pretty brain dead, really, when it comes to thinking. I'm very reactive. My voice just seems to say shit, and I just seem to be a lot of the time sat on the inside of myself, listening to the experience that's going on.
Yeah, that's good. As it is a good collective experience.
Well, I mean, sometimes you can be on a bad trip. You know, you can be in the nightmare. And I think a lot of us, all this wake up, everybody's got to wake up. To what? What is it they're actually supposed to wake up to? You know, running round telling everybody else they've got to wake up. And I'm like, what? Where do you want to wake us up to? You know, go back to sleep, will you? And shut up. You know, because, you know, people seem to want to have, they go on about freedom. And I don't actually know. Well, it says freedom. Right, so only the dumb would have to be free. Say only a slave asks for his rights.
You know what is the dome? What means dome? Dome is like a castle, you know, like inside the castle where you have a wall. That is a dome, freedom. So freedom is only free in a certain area. It's like the lion is free in the zoo. You know, that is how free you are on the freedom.
Yeah.
Real freedom is sovereign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't go for sovereign. It depends how you were looking at that. I reckon
sovereign is your own kingdom. You're responsible for your own kingdom, and your kingdom. What we have here is our body.
Yes.
That is all what we have.
I can go for you there now. You see, because a lot of people have got this sovereign pertaining to land outside themselves or property.
No, land is not. That is not sovereign. We when you die, your kingdom die, and your spiritual kingdom continue to live. But anything that you have here, you can buy up so much land you want. It's not you. It's not your sovereign land.
I'm lost now, man. I thought after listening to the previous shows, and I've been listening to on what I'm learning by sitting here from everybody who comes to Dark City, and I all appreciate you from that, because you are like my news and my information now. I've kind of learned that I'm actually a sentient, conscious being, and death is the only thing that I can't achieve. So therefore, I've got to wait till I'm dead, which I can never do, right? Because I mean, the consciousness just transcends form. Okay, yeah. I mean, at some point there'll be this dead carcass for people to have an issue with, right? For all that deals with all the emotional interaction that I couldn't deal with in my life. So that's all dealt with at this ceremony they have, where the living have an issue. My body then, when's dead, I haven't got an issue. I'm dead, right? It's like,
yeah, no, it's the others who have issues.
You see what I'm saying? So to me, it's like, let's not wait until we're dead. You know, because for me, it's something that I could be wrong. All right? I could be wrong, and I might never be, like, you know, in that sovereign place, in myself, until I'm dead. You know, you might be right. But I tell you what, it's a fucking hell of a gamble, bro. It's a hell of a gamble, isn't it? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I want to start right now. And then if I am wrong, hey, whoopee, I win twice. You know? And that's how I kind of see it. I want this last conflict we're in, because it is a conflict. We are on the field of conflict. We really are. I'm in the UK. You know, this is where the fraternity of the bank and the system of control runs through this little tiny island. You know, how do you think these people on this land have managed to control most of the world for a hell of a long period of time? It's got nothing to do with the military capability or the fact they've bred loads of football hooligans that'll beat the shit out of anybody in Europe, won't they? You know, it doesn't matter where they go. And that's the tribal conflict still being supported on a mass sense. Football, when you get that occurring. Of course, we can see it again in many other levels. Like I said, I'd like, at the end of my conflicts, when all my conflicts are laid to rest, you know, and I'm working through them, when they're all done, bang, everybody walks off victorious. As far as I'm concerned, if I walk off that field and there's a losing side, then I've lost. I've lost. So there's only one way. As far as I'm concerned, there's only one way. We've never been given a choice. And when it really comes to what we have perceived choice to be, we wouldn't choose. No. Why would you choose? Why would we actually choose anything over anything else? I mean, it really, where we are now within our consciousness on Earth, we can get this. I think the paradigm is we keep beating ourselves up because we didn't know. We didn't know. And we did interact in that psychotic world of great ideas and just dumping people and moving along. And we've seen that. I've experienced it. And I've been victim to that, thinking I'm not the victim. You know, thinking it's me who's been the perpetrator in those cases. And from what I've learned, it's like, wow, we're all victims. We're just all victims. So, yeah, let's play a new game. Let's play a victimless game. Can we actually play a game and at the end of it, we've all won? Yeah. I reckon we can. I reckon it's called Darkcity Radio because I don't see how anybody can lose here. It don't cost us anything to do it except for what we're already paying. We've already got us computers. We've already got us internet. And yeah, it's all right. And if we look for it, we can see that in everything else. I mean, even down to the mundane queuing up round Asda getting ready to collect your food in a basket off the man, right? I mean, you can change that scenario. I mean, for some of us, that's dead obvious that what's going on there. That's preparing people to have food handed out to them from a speed bank machine. You know, there will be nobody at the teller. They won't. Why have somebody there putting the shopping in a bag when you've got closed circuit TV cameras and barcode readers and it can all be zipped off your card? You know, now a lot of people have said to me about bitcoins. We've used bitcoins. We have, you know, and they're like, oh, it'll take over the world. The last thing I want, right, is to be only Bitcoin. It's like, what? No. If we've got bitcoins and we insist on trading them for Jabba's cheese, because Jabba's got cancer-curing cheese, I've actually found it now. Well, it's not. He's actually a prophet and he can heal you with his hands, but don't tell anybody, right? It's a secret. We're going to break that. Oh, I'll let the secret out again. Anyway. No,
we are live, Bob. We are live.
On a serious note, I do think people can actually heal virtually anything once you get out of your way. Once you get out of your own way, once we get out of causing ourselves issues, causing ourselves problems, it'll be swift. It will be swift. There's a guy who's gone missing, actually. People wanted to mention. There's a reporter missing. I've posted it all over the Facebook group as well, and that's coming over Skype a couple of times recently. So I just, my thoughts go out to that guy and make sure he is all right, and today. And it's things like that are used to kind of scare us, I think, a little bit. So don't let it. Really don't let it. I think in your show, Jabba, the whole thing of it is laugh at them. Laugh at them. Don't feed them that energy. Don't get involved with that. Do be creative on whatever it is you do. Yeah. Right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're back with the machete.
Bring back the machete.
No, listen, it really is for cutting wood. I just so all the listeners know what they're joking about. We've got the webcams on now, because if you want to come and you want to actually have interviews with us, you can meet us live in person over the internet. You can talk to us and have chats. You just got to deposit £500. Hit the donate button. If you give us £500, we'll let you come into the room and it's live webcam chat. And you get that's for an hour, which is
welcome on People's Voice. We have a commercial break.
we got a brand new pricing structure now. A brand new pricing structure at Dark City Radio. So if you do want to have a show, it's £10,000 an hour. Thanks, David. We've got it now. We know how to actually raise a fortune. We have only got a couple of slots left open, David, right? And the same thing applies now, mate. If you want to come on Dark City Radio, David, for an hour, you're more than welcome to. Give us 10 grand. Cheers, mate. You made it.
You can have an hour.
It's 10 grand, man. We'll give you radio by the end of the month. Tell him. We'll give you 10 at the end of the month. In fact, all of it. Jabba.
No, 10,000, and you can have 1.5 hour.
Well, I'm actually looking for an open source Skype recorder which will do the video, you see, man. That's what I have actually looked for it. So we can capture open source software to capture the videos of the shows we're doing now. And then we've done it. We've got live from the studio in various different countries around the world. Why not? We've got the capability to do it. We're almost there. Okay, we need another it's about another 200 and something pound, and we've got to find a third place to put a server. So if you've got a couple of £100 in your pocket and a decent internet, let us know. We'll teach you how to build one, and you can have one at your house. If you invest then onto that through the bit mining, then that would actually pay for itself and put money in your pocket as well. So that's the idea of it. This is our internet, I suppose. We have been, and I can't disagree with what's been said, Jabba, in your last show. I really can't. That's where we've been. I could see the traits of it. And when he described about the hierarchical system and about we end up trying to climb up that, and I was like, I'm down at the bottom right-hand corner, mate, kicking the foundation in, with my machete, and I'm doing no good. It's not actually doing any good, when we do actually get into that conflict. That just feeds that pyramid even more. So I see it as being inverted. You take the pyramid and you invert it. You invert it, and the only place we can actually spin that around is in the centre of us, and that is from the heart. It's not from the head. I mean, your head's good at what it does, but once we rise up, and I mean, hear it, rise up, well, turn it round. Turn it round. I mean, this isn't about ascension. It really isn't. It's about descension. It's about descending down onto this planet, right? And sorting it out. It's not a major job. In fact, we don't really have to fix the planet. We don't. The planet's it's on auto repair.
The planet is okay.
It's always trying to repair itself. We just have to get out of the fucking way and let it get on with it. That's what we need to do. Stop trying to stop rivers going in this direction. Stop trying to make this do that and that do that. Just let it get on with it. It's not a problem. The only problem we have by that is certain countries have bad weather, and we have it moves around, you know. If anybody's noticed about the systems of weather on this planet, it moves around and it's pretty erratic in its nature. Oh, it's going to rain. Oh, no, it's not. So, yeah, my weather forecast for everyone out there is there's a 50% chance it'll rain tomorrow. There's a 50% chance.
Not here.
So
Dean say in the chat room, give David 40 minutes because you need 20 minutes for adverts.
No, we're going to give him an hour for his 10 grand. You know, otherwise, if he can come on if he wants, but he gets a minute and then it's 59 minutes of adverts.
I think Fox is ready for his show, and we feel the cap. We just play a little jingle and come back with Fox.
Nice one, we will do that.
Okay, thanks everybody for listening and enjoy the Fox show.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. Banks are going bust.